Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Set Up Your Business for Success. We'll get started here in a minute or two. We'll let people who haven't figured out how to get on, figure it out and get on. Then we'll start. So hang tight, please. Now, if we did this like all those big name speakers, I'd be going, hey, Jason from Sydney, Australia, good to see you. Hey, Susie from Hong Kong. But sorry, we're just local folks. So hope you guys are in the right spot. This is Set Up Your Business for Success by the Small Business Development Center here at the Maricopa Small Business Development Center. And again, we'll give another minute or two to let people get in and then we'll start. Okay, it looks like we've slowed down on attendees, so let's go ahead and get started and see what we can do. Of course, we normally do these live in person, and we're trying to do this on a webinar, so I hope it comes off okay. I hope everybody has washed your hands and is keeping your social distance here so that we can be safe in what we do it. Again, this is Set Up Your Business for Success. Oops, my name is Mike Bull. I am a business analyst here at the Small Business Development Center, the Maricopa version. I've been a business owner for over 20 years, and I've had a couple of businesses, one in manufacturing, one in distribution. I am what you would call a generalist. I've spent time in all areas, including production, administration, sales, supply chain management, marketing, customer service. I always say I'm a mile wide and about 2 inches deep. So we do have specialists and people who are able to answer some pretty specialized questions, but we're just going to talk about general business here today. First, I want to talk a little bit about the SBDC, what we do, how we do it, and how you can benefit from the services we offer. I'm showing 3 things we do. We actually added a 4th thing. We like to help businesses launch, get started. That's what we're going to talk about today. We like to help businesses grow. And then once they've grown, sustain that growth. And then the 4th thing is, because everybody has to do it sooner or later, the 4th thing is how to exit gracefully. Our services we offer are 3 basic areas. Our flagship is our one-on-one counseling. We have 14 counselors in the Maricopa Center, one-on-one with business owners to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. This is all at no fee because we are taxpayer funded through the SBA and through Maricopa Community Colleges. The other thing we do is training, which is part of what you're part of today. Like I say, normally we do these in person and either at our training room or at other locations around the valley, hopefully with some things that people find interesting and beneficial. The 3rd thing is research. So if you want to find out what market trends are, what industry standards are, what the price of tea in China is, whatever, we can help you with that research stuff. Our guidance areas, whatever you want, basically, but some of the things that we look at doing are funding assistance, how to get a loan, how to find money, helping you with your business plan, financial reviews, market research, marketing, business operations, growth strategies. We have specialists who help in export and international trade. And then, of course, like I said, exit strategies. If you guys, you should have gotten a welcome to the webinar, and as part of that, there should have been a downloadable Start Your Business checklist. First page looks like this. We will loosely be following that today, but that is packed full of resources, websites, where to go. We're going to talk at a very high level on how things should happen. Your specific needs and what you need to do, you need to research and figure out and go from there. Also, we will be dividing this up into sections. There's a Q&A button that you can press if you have a question. We'd appreciate you typing that in. I'll try to answer questions at the end of each section so that we don't get lost. And then at the end, we'll have another chance for questions. So I want to look at the big picture here of starting and growing a business. The first thing you need to do is plan, because too many times people get the idea that, oh man, I'm going to start a business, and they open it up and they realize that, oh man, this isn't for me, or it's going to cost me more money than I want to put into it, or my idea really isn't sellable, there's no one going to buy it, things like that. So you should, and we do have another program called Put Your Business Idea in Motion. It helps you through the planning stage so that you can get to a go, no-go decision. If it's a no-go decision, then yeah, we'll see you later. If it's a go, then you're at the next step right here. So what we're talking about here is how to pre-launch, how to get ready, how to set the foundation for a successful business. And then, of course, once you're ready, you're going to launch. You're going to put out your open sign. You're going to go for it. And then, you know, like we all do, we're just going to make lots of money and be able to go on with our life. So what are we going to be covering today? Going to talk about making the key early decisions. Going to talk about how to keep your finances in order. How to be ready to operate your business. So the startup checklist. Use this checklist to guide you in your setup tasks. Like I said before, it's going to take some time on your part. We're going to talk about some of the things today and what you need to look for, but then you need to do the research, find out what it is, make sure you are, you know, following all the rules and laws and everything that you need to get your business going. You'll want to talk to resources, educate yourself with online searches, talk with professionals in each specific area listed on the checklist. This goes for the whole life of your business. You should be talking to people. You should be letting people in. That's where we come in with the SBDC. You just need to find resources, and the best way to keep a successful business going is to use the resources that are around you. Okay, first things first. Hopefully, if you're ready to start your business, you've validated your business idea. You know, if you're going to be putting horseshoes on horses, maybe you ought to figure out if Phoenix is the spot for that. We hope you've developed your unique value proposition statement. You got to identify your customers, your products and services, your market position. What makes you different? What makes you, you know, something that people would want to buy from? What makes you something that, or your product something they would want? You have to know what you do differently, well, whatever. You should develop a budget. Businesses aren't free. You're going to need to spend some money. And if not a lot of money, you're going to spend a lot of time. So figure out your budget for time and money. Identify your starting costs and working capital needs for at least 1 year. You know, no matter what you do, as soon as you hang up that open sign, it's not going to be a flood of people coming in. You got to figure out how you're going to grow and what it's going to cost you to maintain that. And then know your funding strategy. You know, is it dear old Uncle John who's going to give you money? Is it the bank? Is it yourself, your own savings? You know, where's that money going to come from? All right, first thing we're going to talk about is choosing the right name. You know, obviously the name of your company is one of the more important things you do. So you're going to want to do internet searches and domain access. Find out, you know, can you get the .com for whatever name it is? If you can't, who has it? And, you know, is a .net or a .biz okay for you? Availability of an entity designation. If you're going to form an LLC or a corporation, you're going to want to know that that name is available. Please make it appropriate to your type of business. You know, and we see a lot of people that try to get cute, and some cute works, some cute does not work. You know, Joe's Barbershop is a lousy name for a restaurant. I know that's a little extreme, but make it appropriate for what you're doing. Make it marketable. Too long of a name, one people can't remember. Those are hard to market. You got to make it so it's easy for people to find you, to remember you, for you to be able to put it out there in a quick blurb. Yeah, double check for infringements. That's kind of my favorite one. I don't know. I'll tell you a quick story about if you know a brewery in Scottsdale by the name of Fate Brewery. It's owned by a guy whose last name is actually McFate. He didn't want to use his name, so he decided he wanted to be Fate. And he opened up, he was Fate Brewery, you know, had his bar glasses all with his name on it, had t-shirts printed up, had growlers done with his name, the sign over the building. And then a little brewery in Boulder, Colorado by the name of Fate Brewery sent him a cease and desist letter that said, you know, it's our name. We had it before you. Please don't use it. He realized he was in the wrong. He had to, so he did use his name, went as McFate Brewery, rebranded all of his glasses, re-put up a sign, redid everything, became McFate Brewery. Opened a new location, was McFate. Next thing you know, little brewery in Boulder, Colorado goes bankrupt. So he somehow either buys the name or waits till they have to get rid of it. And now he is back to Fate Brewery. But, you know, had he checked on that beforehand, he might have saved himself a whole lot of trouble. So please do that. The other thing that we've run into is when you type in your name with a .com and nothing comes up, that doesn't necessarily mean that that name's available. So go to a GoDaddy or another provider of domain names, because we have now found that some of those more popular names are owned by people and they're for sale from, you know, $5,000 to $25,000. So unless that's real important to you, you might want to check that out. Next thing, what ownership structure is right for you? You know, anybody can start with either a sole proprietorship or a partnership. If you and your spouse want to go into business, or just you, all you have to do is say, I'm in business, start selling your product or service. Really nothing else you have to do. Of course, the problem with that is you've opened yourself up to lawsuits and liabilities that will come after you personally. So most people have heard about LLCs and corporations. Professional LLC is another designation. If you're a doctor, an attorney, an accountant, you can be a professional LLC. But what this does is LLCs and corporations, you've heard that they protect your assets. the way they do that is that if your company does something that you can be sued for, people can sue the company, but they can't sue you personally. So you're at risk for whatever the company owns, but you're not at risk for what you own personally. So your house, your cars, your jet skis, your boat, whatever, you get to keep those because it's the company. We'll talk a little bit later about how you can pierce that corporate shield, but it can happen. So how do you register your business? Well, a couple of different ways. Number one, to register an LLC or a corporation, you do that at the Arizona Corporation Commission. You'll do a search, make sure the name is available. I think it's $45 to register, pretty simple little process. But that registers the name of your company. Now, some people have a name of their company and then they want to call their business something else. So maybe I'm Mike Bull Incorporated or LLC, but I want to run, Clean Cut Barbershop. So the Clean Cut Barbershop becomes a trade name. Trade names are actually registered with the Arizona Secretary of State. That, your taglines, trademarks, logos, that's all registered at the Secretary of State so that you can have licensing for that. And then, of course, excuse me, most businesses need to register with the federal government, and that's called a EIN or employee ID number, and that's at irs.gov. That is kind of like your business's social security number. So if you have employees, you have to get one. Without employees, you don't have to get one, but I think most people would suggest you go ahead and do that. So what licensing is needed? So in Arizona, most municipalities have some sort of licensing requirements. The city of Phoenix has no business license requirement, but Glendale, Peoria, Scottsdale, you'll all need a business license for those cities. And of course, every place has zoning requirements. You can't open a steel smelter in a neighborhood someplace just because you want to. So check out zoning, check out what you need for city permits. And the thing is with these, some cities, if you do business in their city, you have to have a permit, whether that's where your business is located or not. So if you are an electrical contractor or a plumber and your business is in Phoenix, but you service Peoria, Glendale, Goodyear, Scottsdale, you may have to have licenses in each of those cities. So check that out, make sure you're in the clear on that. Of course, many designated professionals require licensing. That's all handled through mostly the federal government. But if you want to call yourself a CPA, you need to be licensed as a CPA. If you want to practice medicine, I'm thinking you might want to get a medical license. Arizona itself has no state business licensing requirements. So most of the licensing is done at the local level. Let's talk about sales tax, and then I'll take a break and see if we have any questions. So sales tax is like regular licensing, Well, first we ought to call it what it is. So TPT, this is one of my favorite things, that the state of Arizona calls sales tax the TPT license. So what that stands for is it is your transaction privilege tax. So as a vendor, you have the privilege, your transaction has the privilege of being taxed. So when you hear TPT, that's what it means, is sales tax. It applies to all tangible retail goods. Most services are exempt. So you go back to your electrician, your plumber, their service call is not going to be taxed, but the parts they use and sell to you will be taxed. And some products and services have special taxes, like the lodging tax and the rent-a-car tax that are helping pay for our stadiums. you know, so those taxes are a little higher. I mean, there's a list of them: jet fuel taxes, regular gas taxes. Most people, though, are, you know, getting the regular amount. I got to say, be careful, because there's lots of gray areas. It's kind of like the business license from different cities. You know, do you have to pay a different sales tax in Peoria than you do in Scottsdale? Depending upon what you're doing, the answer is yes or no. And so, yes, to prove my point, although commonly referred to as a sales tax, the Arizona transaction privilege tax is actually a tax on a vendor for the privilege of doing business in the state. Thank you for that. Do we have any questions so far?
Hi, everyone. My name is Donna McCown, and I'm the operations manager for the SBDC. I'm going to field some questions here. We do have a question in the chat box, which is why Mike couldn't see it right away. So if you could answer in the queue, if you could post your question in the Q&A box, we can get to it. But Marissa asked, what if you're looking into an LLC but work for someone?
Hey, Marissa, explain to me what you mean by that. If you're working for someone like as a contractor, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. I think we'll talk about that a little bit later, but yes, my suggestion, especially after everything we've gone through with the coronavirus, is if you are working for someone getting paid as a contractor, I'm thinking being a business has its advantages. We have seen a lot of these disaster loans, people who are just individuals not able to get any help, but people who are companies can get help. So yes, I would definitely look into that. Anybody else?
No, it looks like there aren't any more questions right now.
Okay. Then let's head on. Oh, so speaking of that, how should you build your team? We're going to talk about the contractor right here. So understand the difference between an employee and an independent contractor and which you should go. This is a pretty important thing. And again, right now, from what we've seen with the coronavirus, it really does make a difference. So the federal government has, you know, language that says who's an employee, who's a contractor. The general rule is that an individual is an independent contractor if the person paying them has the right to control or direct only the result of the work, not what will be done or how it will be done. I know a lot of this is skirted by people. You know, employers like to pay independent contractors because it's cheaper. A lot of independent contractors like to be paid as that because, you know, some of them skirt some taxes that way, don't have to pay certain things. So that's why the government wants to step in and decide who is what. So if you hire employees, these questions are, do you have to withhold payroll tax? If they are an employee, the answer is definitely yes. If they are an independent contractor, then no, you don't withhold anything. The contractor is responsible for paying their own taxes. Do you have to pay unemployment insurance? Again, if it's an employee, yes, you have to pay unemployment insurance. Independent contractors, you do not. Again, that's where we've run into some problems with unemployment now, where they've decided that independent contractors qualify. The state is not set up to do that because no one's paid unemployment insurance on them. So any of you who have applied for unemployment know that this is an issue because they just don't know how to do it yet. They'll figure it out, I'm sure. Do you have to provide benefits? The simple answer is no, but there are a few that you do have to provide. You have to pay minimum wage, yes. In Arizona, you have to provide a certain number of days, sick days. You have to pay the benefit of unemployment insurance and Social Security and Medicare. Those are the only benefits that are required. All other benefits are up to the employer and the employee to decide. What are your responsibilities regarding illegal workers? Number one, you need to get an I-9 from all of your employees. That is, they will tell you whether they are eligible to work. They will provide proof that they are, either a driver's license for an ID, Social Security card to prove that they're legal to work. The other thing is most employers are now required to go to everify.gov to make sure that the documents that they've received are legal. The law says that if you hire illegal people, you will be responsible. I think we've seen that that's not too highly enforced, but that's the law. Does minimum wage or paid leave apply to you? In Arizona, if you're an employee, there are very few exceptions to minimum wage and paid leave. Workers' comp, well, I guess there's another benefit that I didn't think about that, yes, you're required to provide. Anybody working on your premises or for you should be covered by workers' comp. Now, this gets into another gray area where, as if you're having a contractor work for you, they should they should supply their own workers' comp. If they do not, then you're responsible for supplying it for them. All of your employees you should cover under workers' comp. As the owner, you can opt out of workers' comp if you want. EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. So you've probably heard that Arizona is a right to work state. What that means is that simply every employee has the right to work for you and can leave for any reason. And technically, every employee you hire, you have the right to fire upon notice. All you have to do is say, I don't want you to work for me anymore. What happens with the EEOC is that they will say, well, you know, that's not quite true, because you can't fire someone because of their sex, or because of their gender, because of their race, because of their religion, because of their whatever else the federal and state government have done. So just because you say, nope, I don't want you to work for me, you definitely better be careful and cover yourself so that you can't have somebody come back and say, oh, you fired me because I was a female, that's all. It wasn't because of any other reason. So this is why people still document a lot of things for getting rid of people. And again, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission website if you want to find out some more. You must provide a safe environment for everybody. This comes under the auspices of OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. It is up to you as an employer to provide a safe workplace. If you have a steel smelter and you have a big open pit liquid steel in the middle of it, then yeah, there's probably some guardrails, some safety things you have to have. So these are going to the employer. Even in a restaurant, you would probably have to supply certain things for non-slip flooring to make sure people are safe from anything that the environment can throw at them in your place of business. The OSHA website if you want some additional information. Insurance. So there's a lot of different kinds of insurance, and so you need to figure out, and I would generally suggest you talk to your insurance agent that you have now, or find a business insurance agent that can help you negotiate some of these. But pretty much every business should probably have some liability insurance in place. If something happens and someone sues you, you want to be able to be covered with your insurance. If you have vehicles, then yeah, you need to have insurance on those. especially if employees are driving them. Unemployment insurance, we've talked about that. You'll have that for your employees. Workers' comp, of course, you have to have that. We've talked about that. E&O insurance, this is emissions, or excuse me, now I can't even think of the name, errors and omissions. This is mostly carried by professionals who, real estate agents, consultants, that sort of thing, because what it does is it helps if you give someone bad advice or bad information, that would be either an error or an omission. Another one of our business analysts tells a story about a realtor in Chicago who had a client was buying a house, and they had told the realtor, listen, we have a special needs daughter. We need to be in this particular school district. It's, you know, it's absolutely critical because they're the only ones that can deal with, you know, what she needs to have dealt with. Real estate agent says, yep, I understand, no problem. Found them a perfect house. They liked it. They bought it. They moved in. They went to the school district to register their daughter. And yeah, guess what? No, you're not in our school district. You can't come here. Well, they sued, and his errors and omissions had to take care of that. Business interruption insurance. This is a good one right now too, because what business interruption insurance does is, let's say you have a surf shop in Florida on the coast, and you do, you know, a decent business, and a hurricane comes blowing through, wipes out your whole building, all of your inventory, takes everything out, and there you are stuck high and dry. Your regular insurance is probably going to take care of your building, probably going to take care of your inventory. But then what happens, because it's going to take them 6, 8, 12 months to rebuild your shop. So what do you do in the meantime? Well, that's called business interruption insurance. So if you have that, they should pay for lost revenues during the time it takes you to rebuild. The reason I say it's come into a little importance now is a lot of people are saying, well, I have business interruption insurance, and now we have this pandemic and a shutdown, so my business is interrupted. Shouldn't my insurance take care of that? Insurance companies are pretty smart, and they have decided that that's an act of God, and maybe it's excluded in your policy. But I will say that that may not happen for everybody. So if that's an issue, you might want to look at that. And then, of course, nowadays, cybersecurity is a big deal. You want to, if you have anybody's sensitive information, you should have cybersecurity insurance. Any other questions on that? We could take a little stop for questions.
I don't think we have any new questions, no.
Man, we have a quiet crowd today, huh? All right,
You're doing a
everybody wants
fabulous
to get.
job, Mike. I'm sorry you don't have anyone laughing at your jokes.
I know, it's kind of boring, huh? All right, I'll keep going though. All right, prepare your finances to keep your finances in order. Okay, I got to go slow here. So typically, first thing you want to do is open a business bank account. Again, pandemic has exposed a lot of ugliness that people were just not ready for. So here's what happened with your business bank account is if you were in business and you thought you could apply for the Paycheck Protection Program and you went to a bank because that's what they said you had to do, the banks all of a sudden said, no, we're just seeking people who are already clients of ours, who already have an account with us. And so you go, well, shoot, now what do I do? Well, now you try to find somebody who isn't too busy to take your account. And we have found that that has been very, very difficult. So, you know, a business bank account certainly establishes you as a business. The things all you need for one are basically your business formation documents, which we get from the Corporation Commission. They may want an EIN number. and they may want any business licenses. But this again is dependent upon what bank you go to, but be prepared with at least those documents. Create a reliable financial tracking system. Numbers are the lifeblood of a business. Numbers are the lifeblood of knowing what your business is doing, how you're doing, how to make decisions. I see so many business owners that just don't understand their numbers, and they're trying to make decisions based on, you know, how much money they have in their bank account. You know, that's just not a good way to make business decisions. So look for a software platform. You know, obviously QuickBooks is the big one, but there are now literally, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 other financial systems out there for that. Decide what you need to track. Sometimes when you're just starting out, you may not know what you need to track. It may be that you go down the line and go, oh man, I should track this revenue stream or these cost of goods or what, but do the best you can to try to figure out what you need up front. And of course, record data with tax returns in mind, because you're going to have to file tax returns, and you might as well make it easy on everybody. The other thing is it creates a foundation for future decision making. Like I said, this is something that, you know, if you've got 4 different products and you don't know which one's the most profitable, it's really hard to make a decision about how to cut down your product line or to add new products or new services or what to do. So having those numbers creates a really efficient decision-making system. And be consistent and current. You know, what do we got? We're almost into May. If you still have your shoebox full of 2019 receipts, you're not very current, you're not very consistent, and you're not making good decisions right now based on what you've done in the past. And the other thing is be consistent. You know, always track things the same way. If rent is due on the 1st and you're going to have it, you know, recorded every 1st of the month, don't look at a P&L and see that you've got 2 payments of rent in 1 month and none in another. Be consistent with that. So we would think that you could create, at a minimum, we would like to see you create a profit and loss statement and a balance sheet. A cash flow projection is something that not every business needs, but you certainly need to be able to know what your cash is, because that's not always the same as profit. So profit and loss statement. Profit and loss statements cover a designated period of time. So you have a profit and loss for the month of April. You have a profit and loss for the year 2019, for the first quarter of 2020. It is a period of time. It demonstrates the ability to generate profits because it shows all of your revenues, all of your expenses, and your net profit. You know, hopefully that's a positive number every month. If it's not, you need to be looking at why not. The other thing is, you'll hear income statement. People talk about income statements. You'll hear people talk about profit and loss statements, and you'll also hear the term P&L statement. They all are the same thing, just interchangeable. We suggest it should fit on a single page. I've seen some profit and loss statements that are 4 pages long, and what that does is it just prohibits anybody from figuring out exactly what they're looking at. You want to figure out what your good numbers are, what ones you want to look at, and then have those in front of you so that it's easy to see them, as opposed to, you know, so much detail that you never even look at the big picture. And as you can see, here is a sample profit and loss statement, shows the revenues, expenses, separates out financial expenses, and then shows net profit. Fairly simple. A balance sheet. A balance sheet covers a moment in time. So unlike the profit and loss that covers a period of time, a balance sheet changes every day. So, you know, a balance sheet at the end of the year, at 12/31/2019, or a balance sheet at the end of a month. This month would be April 30th. So at that period of time, it shows you your cumulative financial health. It shows you the assets, liabilities, and net worth. If you look at your bank statement, your balance changes every day if you're spending money and bringing money in. So that's why it's a particular moment in time. Yeah, we always have to put in here that it must balance because, that's the name of it. So a typical balance sheet will show your assets, your liabilities. Assets minus liabilities gives you your net worth. So liabilities plus net worth equal assets, and that's where the balancing comes in. So cash flow projections. Again, this is a little difficult for some people, but knowing whether you're going to have money to spend is kind of important to a lot of people. Again, cash flow covers a designated period of time, demonstrates the ability to pay your bills, shows revenues and expenses. Well, it can be negative, but it certainly shouldn't be. Basically, a cash flow statement is telling you, so if you have customers that you sell them something the 1st of April, but you give them 30 days to pay for it, you're going to show revenue as the 1st of April, but you don't really have any cash. And maybe you bought $100,000 worth of inventory at the 1st of April and you had to pay for all of that, but you don't use it up for the next 6 months. So that's showing, as you use it, your profit and loss is going to show it, but it's not cash going out after the initial outlay. So cash projections help a lot in knowing timing of when bills are coming due and what you're going to have as far as revenue to pay for it. And pretty small, but there is an example of a cash flow projection. And we always say that even inaccurate projections are better than none at all, because, like everything else, you're going to get better with practice. And being able to project your cash is pretty important for the long-term health of your business. Okay, any questions up to that point? I see one here in chat. After having an EIN number, if I don't make enough money, do I have to pay anything as taxes or to the IRS? Yes, you can maintain your EIN number. It's good forever, and whether you pay taxes or not, you actually have to go and ask the IRS to make it inactive. They won't make it inactive. Does that answer? Okay, I'm going to say yes, just because I'm in charge here. So what happens if you need more money? Okay, we have our 3 F's that we like to call them. Friends, family, and fools. That's always the first place people go to look for money. Your rich uncle, somebody else who thinks you've got a great idea and wants to invest. That's a good place to start. Angel investors, maybe your rich uncle is an angel investor. That's good. Angel investors are people who are looking for ways to invest money. Of course, they're going to look for ways to get more money out. So they may ask for an equity portion of your business, but it is a way to go. Loans, typically what people do, go to the bank, get an SBA guaranteed loan. You can do that to start your business. You can do that to expand your business. Lots of loans can be had. Grants, of course, this is where everybody wants, free money. We probably have more requests for grants than we have requests for anything else. Unfortunately, grants are pretty hard to come by unless you are in a particular area. Healthcare, there's going to be some grants. If you're looking for a cure to coronavirus, there may be some grants available. If you're in high tech, there may be some grants available. Other than that, you got to look long and hard for that. Crowdfunding. This was pretty big here a few years ago, but I don't see it being as big nowadays. It still exists. I still see people put things out. A lot of that, when you're doing crowdfunding, kind of goes back to your friends, family, and fools, because you're trying to get people you know to do something. And then, of course, you want them to share the idea and get people that they know to do it. So it's still out there. It's still possible, just not as easy as it might seem. Next thing, talking about personal credit and loans. A lot of people start their businesses on credit cards. That's okay. Just recognize the fact that a credit card should be used for short-term investment only. If you're going to keep it open and have $10,000 every month and pay $100, $150 in interest, then maybe that's not the best use of your money. When you start a business, you have to know that your personal credit is your business credit. Business credit will build just like your personal credit did from the beginning. As you buy things in the business name, as you pay bills, as you get credit cards and keep them current, your business credit will grow. But until then, your personal credit is your business credit. People are going to ask you for your FICO score. If it's not good, you're going to have a harder time getting credit. Make sure you know what you're pledging for collateral. This goes back to our discussion about LLCs and corporations where, we say, hey, if we're an LLC, then we get a loan, they can't come after my personal assets. Yes, in general, that's true until you sign a loan and one of the first things they want is a personal guarantee. Well, you've just pierced your corporate shield because now you've pledged your house, your cars, your jet skis, everything as collateral. If you rent a building or a retail space, you're probably going to sign a personal guarantee to the landlord. Unless you have been in business so long that you can prove that your business can stand on its own, most of them are going to ask for a personal guarantee. So make sure you know what you're giving up. This is kind of a biggie here. This determine the correct amount for an ask. What happens is we've become accustomed to, if someone goes and buys a house, they go to the mortgage company and they say, hey, will you pre-qualify me so I know how much money I can spend on the house? Mortgage company says, yeah, we'll pre-qualify you for, I don't know, $350,000. And you say, well, okay, good. I have $50,000 of my own money, so I can go look at houses for $400,000. I should be good. A business loan, when you walk in and ask a banker how much they'll loan you, yeah, you're going to get all kinds of laughing at. You have to go in and say, here's how much I need. Here's what I need it for. Here's how I can pay it back. Then the banker is going to say yes, no, or negotiate something different. But if you don't have the number you want, what it's for, you're not going to get a business loan. So that's why you need to be prepared. They're going to ask you how you're going to pay this back. How much are you going to borrow? What makes you think your business is going to survive long enough to do this? So you're going to need those answers. So you need to be prepared if you're going to go find a business loan. And probably even dear old mom's going to ask you some of those questions if you want to borrow money from her. There's a lot of different kinds of business loans. Once you're in business, you might get a working capital loan or a line of credit. That's a loan that's sitting out there that you can draw on when you need it, pay it back as you get money. Again, those are not really long-term loans. Those are for shorter-term things. You can get inventory financing. You can get equipment financing. Real estate financing, of course, and factoring is, when you sell your accounts receivable to somebody, they pay you a little faster and take a cut for themselves. There's commercial lenders, there's private funders, SBA guaranteed loans. Just so everybody knows, an SBA does not loan money themselves. The SBA actually guarantees loans that banks make, so that it helps the bank take a little more risk on businesses. So because the SBA is going to guarantee their payback. Okay, final considerations before launch. Contingency plans. What's your plan B if plan A doesn't work? What's your plan C if neither of them work? If you don't have a plan B or a plan C, you know, you're just going out on a poke and a hope, and, you know, good luck, but a contingency plan will certainly alleviate some of your worries. Are my family and I going to be happy with this business? I always laugh because I never started a business. I bought businesses, somehow found a way to do that. And my wife always said, just don't buy one that's going to make me embarrassed. So make sure your family is involved in your decisions and going to be happy with it. Am I really willing to commit all my efforts to making this a long-term success? A lot of people want to go into business for themselves because they think that they can, you know, have a martini lunch, work half a day, and their employees are going to do everything. Maybe at some point you'll get there, but please don't think it's going to start on day one. You're going to have to make a big commitment to this. Can I handle the risk and constant uncertainty? Small business, that's a way of life. Hate to say it, but there's always risk. I mean, look at the people who started in January of this year and thought that they were going to open a restaurant, and, you know, the first month everything was great and business was coming in, and then, you know, the end of March came around and they're shut down. No one predicted that. No one saw that coming. And that's not the only thing, but there is always risk. There's always uncertainty. Some days, you know, you've got money and you're thinking this is the best thing I ever did. And other days you're thinking something different. And I always hate to end on that. I need to move that up a little bit, because the next thing we're going to tell you is, if you decide, then go for it, and do it and be successful, because we want to see that. And yes, we are here to help you succeed. So again, all the way on your journey, your business journey, keep the SBDC in mind. And I see we have a question.
We do.
A certificate of good standing. If you're a service-based business not selling goods, do you need to obtain an Arizona TPT? If you are, okay, two questions. Number one, a certificate of good standing is usually someone will ask you for a certificate of good standing. You don't really need one to show to anybody, but if you get a loan and a bank says, hey, do you have one, then you may need to go get one. And that's just a simple little online thing that you can do. Oops, wait, where'd the other one go? Oh, if you're a service-based business selling just and not selling goods and only services, you do not need a TPT license, whether that's state or city. If you ever sell a good, then yes, you're going to need one. But if you charge no sales tax, you don't need a license. Is there a certain place, whether online or physical location, to look in obtaining an angel investor? There are actually angel investor clubs. We offer in training one of our sessions that our business analyst Lou Farina does. It talks about angel investors, what they look for, some of the pitfalls with them. So yes, there are places to go. I think actually even on like Meetup, you can find groups of angel investors. So yeah, Google. If you open an LLC, do you need a business plan if you are an independent contractor under another company? Again, this is kind of like You don't really need a business plan if no one's asking you for one, but I would certainly suggest you have a business plan, just so you know what your goals are, what you're thinking you're going to do, how you're going to do it. But to open an LLC, no, you don't need a business plan. You just need to, actually, they have articles of incorporate or articles of organization on the Corporation Commission website. It's a simple fill that out and go. Anything else?
No, not that I can see. Doesn't look like we have any more.
Okay. I'll give it one more minute if anybody has one. Okay, I lied. I'm only, oh wait, now we do. With counseling, can we request a specific person for food truck related businesses? The answer to that is yes. You can always request a particular person. The issue is, I mean, now it's not an issue because all of our meetings are virtual, so Zoom can go anywhere. The only issue becomes if your location is far away, because we have people on the West Valley, like at Estrella Mountain, Glendale Community College, Peoria, and then we have people on the east side in Mesa and Chandler. So, you know, you may, depending upon what it is, your location might want to talk to somebody else, but yes. We didn't actually talk about that, Donna, how to register for counseling, did we?
No, I was going to go ahead and do that at the end when we wrap up. So.
Hey, Donna, would you like to go ahead and do that?
No problem. I get paid the big bucks. So like I said, I'm the operations manager for the Maricopa SBDC. First of all, we want to thank you all for participating in this webinar. Our process is a no-fee counseling that we offer right now. Obviously, we're doing it virtually, as Mike said. You go to our website, which is listed there on your screen, maricopa-sbdc.com. Right on the about the middle of the screen on the left-hand side, there's a button that says Request Counseling. Go ahead and fill that out, and that's where you can put in what your specifics are, what type of business you have, what you're looking for, and that will get sent to our program assistants, who are working diligently to get all of our clients assigned to counselors. Right now, like I said, we're doing it virtually. Usually when we are assigning clients, the first criteria is geography. So if you live in Gilbert, we're not going to assign you to someone whose office is in Avondale. We will assign you according to location. If you are a specific type of business where we have specialists in export and technology and things like that, we will assign you to those specific counselors, and they will operate out of our main office, which is at Gateway Community College, which is on 40th Street in Washington by the airport. So that's basically how we operate. And we do, like I said, we do everything through a registration process. So especially at this time when we have a good problem of being inundated with questions and people needing our assistance, the first thing you need to do is to register and become a client. So other than that, I don't think I missed anything. Actually, Mike touched on the different types of trainings that we have. Again, that's on our website as well. If you go to the link that says training, you'll see a calendar. We're kind of playing the month of May by ear. We did have a few trainings scheduled for Gateway, and we're just going to convert those to virtual as we did with this one. Like I said, unfortunately, Mike did not have a large audience to play to, but we're doing our best to try and convert all these things to virtual trainings. And we are updating our training, like I said, constantly, I guess. Again, there is no fee for those trainings unless it is specified, and usually the fee associated with that is for materials. Looks like there are now 2 more questions, Mike. Looks like I stalled enough for you. So you have 2 more questions.
Yeehaw. Okay, so let's talk about the difference between your service and PTAC. PTAC is Procurement Technical Assistance. What's the C? company, counseling.
Center. Center.
They actually help with government contracting and that sort of thing. They are a subsidiary, I guess, of ours, not really a, you know, they're associated with us, but we are different from them. We do general counseling. They do very specific licensing and certification and government contracting type help.
They are our sibling. We have the same parents, but we're siblings.
Okay, stepchildren.
Yeah.
The other one is, this is pretty specific, and I have multiple types of businesses operating from one LLC. For example, I have a revenue generating blog and I'll also launching a course. These businesses are separate, but can I use the same LLC that I use for my blog for the online course? So the answer to that is yes, you can. So what happens is, you know, again, you'd set up the LLC, Mike Bull LLC. Then I would have two different doing business as trade names. So I'd be Mike Bull LLC doing business as Blog One. And then I would have Mike Bull LLC doing business as course number one, whatever. So a particular LLC can have multiple companies. The advantages are under one LLC, you only have to fill out one tax form. You can also have two LLCs if you want. It doesn't matter.
Okay. It
Yes,
looks
you need, and do I need to register the DBAs with Arizona? You need to register the DBAs with the Secretary of State in Arizona, yes.
Okay, and then we do have a really quick 3-question poll that I'm going to go ahead and launch. If you guys could answer these questions, I would appreciate it.
Do I get to answer them?
Yeah, you can go ahead and rate yourself. So, okay. Mike, do you have any, the other thing I was going to say is also on our website, it has our team. And so you can see all the different counselors that we have there and what their areas of expertise are. We can all be reached via email, and it's our first name dot last name. So it'd be mike.bull. And I believe Yvette was the one that sent out the registrations. So it's the same kind of email syntax. First name dot last name at domail.maricopa.edu. And so if you do have any questions regarding anything, we can certainly get you to the right person. And we will be sending out this recording of the webinar so you can reference it, and we'll also be posting it on our website as well as our social media. We tried to do Facebook Live and it dumped again, so that did not work. I was joking with Mike that we are not going to win any Academy Awards for our producing or our directing. So, okay, it looks like there's just a couple more people that we'd like to vote, and I'll give it about 15 more seconds, and we'll go from there. Okay, I'm gonna end it. Okay, so it looks like, I'm glad 85% of you guys said this was helpful. It met your expectations, 71%. We always like to know where you guys have heard of us. So we got SBA, SPORE, our website, and word of mouth. So that's great. So we really appreciate you guys participating in this and giving us some feedback. Looks like there is a request for counseling. We'll go ahead and look into that, Renee, because hopefully you are in our system, and it is taking us about 48 hours to respond back to requests for counseling, but I will certainly look into this, Renee. We don't really have anything set up for general type questions. It may just be once you are assigned to someone that it's just, a one and done type thing. But I will definitely look into this and then get back to you. You all have my contact information. Again, they're all the same, first name dot last name at domail.maricopa.edu.
Okay. All right. Thank you for everybody. We will
Thank you.
see you or not see you the next time.